Is the altcoin move signaled? I do believe it is. We've got to talk about what's going on in the market today. We've got some incredible signs of what's happening in this market. Bitcoin dominance starting to break down just a little bit, or is it not? Is it all a trap? We're going to be diving into this here in just a moment. I'm trying to live stream also on Arena as well as Rumble. I'm not sure if it's working on either of those, but I am live on X. I am live on YouTube, trying to get some other things sorted out here. But hey, everybody, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're feeling good because we got some incredible signs to look at today. Let's get this retweeted out. Let's get into it. Let's go live. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. Trying something a little different today. I don't know if it's working on the Arena or on Rumble, but try to get those all plugged in. It shows that there's a error starting, so I'm not sure what that deal is about. But we got some things to break down in the charts today because we're seeing some signs of life. And the question is this going to continue? Because we are right here on the edge of glory, right? Just like the song. But we very well could have another washout to the downside and come tap back down, which people don't want to happen, back down into this $74,000 level, potentially even lower. But this is looking good as it stands. This is on the 3-day chart. If we look at this on 4 hours, it's starting to look a little weak in the zone. We're going into weekends. Weekends tend to be a little bit more lower liquidity, but we're also getting a changing of the guard of the type of people that are involved in the crypto markets with all these institutional players that are getting onboarded, getting involved, and also realizing the opportunity to push the markets around over the weekend. So let's pay attention what happens this weekend, whether or not we get a Bitcoin futures gap. What do I mean by a Bitcoin futures gap? Is when we're looking here on the CME Futures, you see these gaps, as you see right here. You see this gap right here. Remember, we had this massive gap here, and as this went up, we didn't feel, our bias did not think that this was going to come back and fill it. And what happened? We had this marked out. Look at this. Came down and basically perfectly filled this, and then got another bit of a washout to the downside. And this is because CME Futures, the Bitcoin futures, are trading essentially on the traditional market, same time as when you see the options market open for traditional assets as well as Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, when the markets close, or on the weekend, when the markets close from Friday to Sunday, you can get these gaps of if the traditional market, if Bitcoin itself, see, look at this. This is November 10th. Let's look at this on November 10th. Let's zoom back. We see that essentially that's right here. You see right here, 10th, the price action was pushing up. But because the CME futures market, the options market is closed, what happens is when the market opens on Sunday, you have this gap that we talk about liquidity coming back to at some point and filling. And it doesn't have to happen, but it's got an extraordinarily high hit rate. In fact, we saw that happen right here as well. Boom. So when you do see these CME futures over the weekend, and this is where that happened, it did continue to break down, but look at this, almost perfectly closed this gap, AKA the price action pushed up while the CME futures were open and closed that out before it resolved to the downside. So as we're coming in to the end of Friday, the end of this week for options trading, we want to pay attention to what happens here as we go into the weekend, because if you have a gap above, meaning the price broke down over the weekend and you end up having that gap, then essentially you look at it like a bit of a liquidity gap opportunity for price action likely to come back up and fill it. So let's just keep our eyes on that. But my question to you is right now, how are you doing? How are you feeling? I'm feeling grateful today. I'm feeling happy. I did not really eat this morning. I had some coffee, but I'm excited. I got a lot to go over today. I got some content we're going to be breaking down. I'm really bummed that this isn't working on the Arena. I will get this sorted. Oh, you know, let me do this right now. Can I do that? What if I do start stream now? Waiting for a screen share on camera. Let's see. Waiting for boom, boom, boom. Is this, yeah, it should be. Let me see if this is working. I'm trying to make it work, baby. That's Rumble. I don't know. Maybe it shows up. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But what we're seeing here, this is arena.social. You can find me at Kelly Kellum. Just search Kelly Kellum. I'm going to be live streaming here. This has some awesome features, very similar to X, in that not only do you have like the social media aspect, but you also have the ability to live stream, but you have the ability to tip and buy tickets. Almost like it's like a content thing where you can actually trade the value of what's going on within a profile. So if we come here, here's my profile at Kelly Kellum. If you come here or here to stats, and look right here, see in Arena Book, I wonder if the value is dropping. You get these the tradable value of what's going on with your channel, which is pretty cool. We got, let's see, there's been 22.74 volume on Avalanche. Total buys 19.1, total sales 3.64. It's very interesting there, but you don't have to buy a ticket. You can also just follow the account as well. And when you follow the account, it's very similar to Twitter or X, I should say. Just some new stuff we're doing. You can also tip in Avalanche and other things in there. Just trying to show you some various things we got going on. Also, similarly, Rumble. We have a new partnership. We do have a new partnership with Rumble, and you can find us here at BitLab Academy. Let's go just like that. Let me see if I can find. I don't know because I just created this the other day, but essentially it looks like this. My content. No, or sorry, my channels. Here we go. It will look like this. And I'll put that link on Rumble. I'll put this in the live chat here on YouTube. I don't know if you see that chat on X, but this is, we just created this the other day. We got a partnership with Rumble. We will be live streaming there as well and be one of the featured accounts that's going on there. But let's dive in. Let's talk about what's going on in these markets because we got some really exciting things popping in here. We're pushing up 40,600 plus followers here. We're really making some big gains there on my personal account here, which we also live stream to, as well as over on the Academy BitLab. But shout out to that. I just want to remind everybody, why Bitcoin? If you are new, if you're like, oh, what is this thing? You're kind of interested. Maybe you're watching because somebody sent you this link. Just realize this. This is the cost of a home in 2016, $288,000. This is the cost of a home in 2024, $434,000. Great. So that means if you owned a home, it would have increased this huge amount of value into 2024. But the question you need to realize, is it really going up in value or do your dollars fucking suck? This is the reality. People don't realize my house is going up value. I want to invest in this house because it's not increasing in value. The value of the purchasing power of your dollars is going down. Now look at this, 2016, you could have bought a house for 664 Bitcoin. 2024, it only costs 6.6 Bitcoin. Does that mean the value is going down? No, this is the inverse correlation with Bitcoin versus the dollar. The amount of Bitcoin needed because the value of Bitcoin has gone up so much, it costs you less Bitcoin now to buy a house. Realize that and you'll understand Bitcoin. Your purchasing power of Bitcoin goes up over time, AKA the cost of life is going down when you're holding Bitcoin. So you intrinsically, just by holding Bitcoin over the next 3, 4, 5, 8, 12, 20 years, whatever it is, especially every 4-year window. There's never been a period within 4 years where you're actually, if you're holding for 4 years or longer, you've never been down on price. In fact, there's about a 50% compounded annual growth rate, AKA you're basically doubling in value every year. When you consider the value, huge explosions to the upside and the pullbacks to the downside, all of the lows, every cycle, if you just look at the lows, who cares about the highs? If you just look at the lows in price, look at this, higher low, 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 higher low. We're only getting higher lows in this, meaning the value is getting so compressed to the upside because we're on the initial wave. We're still so early in this asset class. And this is why, isn't the price high at $84,000? No, it is not. When you consider we have the US government about to buy about 1 million Bitcoin, when you have sovereign wealth funds out there stacking Bitcoin into their wealth funds, you have institutions, corporations, the amount of Bitcoin that is already been acquired by these different players. And what is to come, the flood is nothing more than incredible for what we're about to see in this market. Now, of course, right now in the near term, we're experiencing volatility, some chops and swings because we all want it to go up now. But in reality, this is an incredible opportunity when you see the price action as it has pushed up. It's exploded higher, but oh my God, it's dead because it's come down. But where does it come down to? Previous range high, much like right here. Explosion higher. What happened? Came down. Previous range high. This is exactly what we're doing. It exploded higher. What did it do? It came down to previous range high. We're seeing the rinse and repeat of bullish market structure, bullish trend, just playing out yet again. And we're worried here? No, this is that opportunity, especially when we consider what's about to happen to alt. So let's get into that. Let's talk about it. Mark Dutch, how you doing? Granny's Garden, lasers go pew pew. Cray the Great, Alexandra G, we got the fam jam here. Big love to each and every one of you. Chris Pfaff, how you doing? Uncle Tommy, we got the fam here. Everybody get active in the live chat. Where are you tuned in from today? What city, what state, what country? Are you at work? Are you in your car? Please don't tell me if you're on the toilet. I appreciate every single one of you that tunes in. I appreciate it. But we're experiencing the near term on the 15-minute chart. Oh my God, it's breaking down. But is it? Everybody's worried about what's going on with the markets and the rates. And we saw the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell yesterday and today saying that there is room to cut rates after all this pressure from Trump. But is it because of that? Is it because of something else? Who knows? But here's what we're looking at in May. 90% chance now going into, what was it, about 2.5 weeks from now? The next FOMC meeting, the Federal Open Market Committee, where they determine the Fed interest rates, which people are trying to price in, and it's swinging back and forth about whether or not, I got the hiccups for some reason, whether or not we're going to get an interest rate cut. Right now it's at 9%, but this was up last week, up about 48% and then dropped to 20% and then back up to 30, now down to 9. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because when we look at June, this is one of the things Joshua Jake from our fam here at Discover Crypto has really been calling for June to be that cut. And look at this. How do we know this is a rate cut? Because this is where we're at now, 425 to 450 basis points. This right here, when we look at May, look at this. That's why if this is still the same, this means no cut. This is what we're looking at when we get the cut. When we look at June, see, this is where we're at, 425 to 450. Only 34% chance of people that are betting in the market and the way they're trading and what they're indicating. 34% think we won't get a cut in May. It's 34% think that the Fed interest rates stay the same. 60% now are suggesting that we're going to start to get a cut. When you look further out, June, look at this. This is 39% thinks we're going to get a cut. This means only this size. And then we get a much larger cut, almost 50%. When we get to September, look at this. We are getting cut soon. And I do think that as the reverse repo market kind of bleeds off, it's getting near zero. That's when we start seeing quantitative easing also coming back into the market too. We also have to pay attention to the Treasury General Account. But let's get past this. Let's look at some other data. We already talked about this. Show some love. If you like that tweet, retweet it out. But this is what we're looking at. Let's follow the money. Let's follow the whales. Again, one of my favorite things about the Bitcoin blockchain ecosystem is that everything is transparent. You can see by the size of wallets, AKA all the different Bitcoin wallet addresses out there. You can see basically the Bitcoin market is audited every 10 minutes when these miners process blocks. They all agree on every transaction that's happened. By doing so, they're also auditing the blockchain. Remember, the Pentagon hasn't passed a damn audit in over 7 years. And people wonder about is blockchain and Bitcoin secure and is it real? Fuck yeah. Our government money systems are the thing that's fake. And with this, rather than stocks, with Bitcoin, you can see which big wallets. Are they stacking? Are they selling? Are they trading? Are they moving coins? This is what we're looking at. And what we see, whales, large wallets holding more than 10,000 Bitcoin, are maintaining a strong accumulation trend score. They're buying. They're buying at these levels when retail's going, wow, man, what am I going to do? Why is it not going up? Stop being so impatient. We need to stop being pestilent children. We need to see what the big money players are doing. And I know I want to emulate people that are utilizing patterns that are building, increasing, and sustaining their wealth. Big money's buying here. We've seen an absolute parabolic trend to the upside of large wallets as well as accumulation wallets that are buying and holding. They have been going parabolic this last year. And I mean, guys, this is what we're looking at. And you can tell because look, wallets over 10,000. Boom. It's close to blue. It's in this zone here, meaning they're more likely buying. There's more indication that they're buying and holding than they are selling. And what do we see on the small wallets? The babies, the crybabies, the ones that need it now, selling. I'm following the smart money. It might mean you need to be a little bit more patient, but it also does allow you to stack in at incredible levels. So let's continue on here. What else we got? There are some signs of panic in the market, but what is this panic? Foreign investors are dumping U.S. stocks at a rapid pace. Investors from overseas withdrew $6.5 billion from U.S. equity funds over the last week, the second largest amount on record. That's what this is right here. There's a little bit of shaken about in the markets as all these tariffs and the trade wars. And, you know, at the end of the day, I don't care if you like Trump, if you don't, if you like Biden, if you don't. When we're looking at the markets, you need to be apolitical and say, okay, how can I forward assess what the market is likely going to do? And because the trade war is in place right now, and in my opinion, I do think, as crazy as it is, I think it's something that has some tact to it, especially early in his presidency, to set things up to really boom on a more sustainable level moving forward. In fact, I don't think the tariffs are even the goal of what's happening here. I think it is to put pressure on the markets so that they can get things in better place, to get better trade deals, sure, but then also to get us closer to what we're doing with the Fed rate interest rates. We have to. If you don't like Trump, just realize this. I'm not saying I like him or dislike him. I'm talking about this as a market analyst. We have between $9 and $14 trillion the U.S. has to in debt. The U.S. has to refinance this year. The U.S. has to refinance over $9 trillion this year. They cannot do it. It is unsustainable to do it at the current federal funds rate. So the jockeying and what's happening right now that's putting uncertainty into the markets is going to be probably the biggest bullish slingshot in history. Because once they have all this pressure, it puts the Fed, the Federal Reserve, into a conditioned state that they have more things in line that they can have what they need to do the Fed interest rate cuts so that we can refinance the debt. So it's not just about Trump being a jackass. Oh my God, what my 401k is down. Most people I hear saying that are 35 years old, and who gives a fuck, because you have all that period of time from then all the way to 65 before you're going to pull out of your 401k. So we need to be patient right now because we've seen this before. We saw this in the last trade war that ended up being another slingshot to going to all-time highs. So we need to be patient here, allow the markets to do. There's so many different things being juggled that we're not aware of, and there's things that need to happen beyond, oh, this is scary. Well, we got oil prices down. We got gas prices down. We got eggs down. We got grocery inflation coming down. Now, the problem with this is we will likely see some increase in some costs of living in the near-ish future as some of these tariffs, if this sustains, matriculates into consumer costs. But on the same time, those costs are going up while the cost of shipping is going down. So may equal out a little bit. But then in addition to that, they're looking to do some pretty darn big tax cuts in the near future. So I'm just saying, hey, I'm apolitical. I've voted for both Biden and I've voted for Trump. I'm both sides. I'm an independent individual that says, hey, there's things outside of our control. And if we are so mad at something, let's realize, every single one of us, that the media is doing its perfect job of making sure each and every one of us is divided as we can be. I have looked at stuff that I was sure of, and then upon looking a little bit deeper, complete fabrication. This is on both sides. So when you're so dug in on your heels about this being good, right or wrong, you need to realize, even if I think that, if I talk to you and you're like, how could you? How about say, hey, so what were the reasons you did this, versus being this contestant, pestilent little, I mean, I'm tired of the bullshit of people not being able to talk. If you voted for this person for this one singular reason, great, say that. Don't be mad because you don't agree with this other stuff. Everybody's on a different footing about what data they're getting, what media bubble that they're in. We need to connect and talk, because we're sitting here looking at markets, figuring out how we can change our lives. Meanwhile, we're completely alienating people in our lives, maybe because we're given bad information. So if we just drive people further and we say, you're a jackass for thinking that, All you're doing is being a jackass yourself, and you're not willing to have a conversation that's backed up by data. Let's not be defensive. Let's not challenge people. Let's say, hey, that's interesting you think that. How come? Let's pull some things together, baby. Let's love each other. I mean, I'm tired of all of this craziness. Let's get back to crypto. I don't know why I went on a rant there, but let's look at it. Boom. VIX. I did a post about this last week. Maybe a week and a half ago. VIX, volatility index, hit 60 only 5 times in 35 years. Most extreme fear of uncertainty. Afterwards, market was generally better 6 to 12 months later because the worst feeling got priced in by the market at those peaks. As a result, Trump softens, ECB, the European Central Bank cuts, China stimulates. I hope China stimulates me, baby. The stimulus, aka money printing, odds favor better future. In fact, if we come back over here, I'm gonna have to scroll back for just a moment. Let me scroll back. But there was a beautiful chart that I did. Where was it at? It's let's see. It's a great chart that shows a very, I mean, come on, we got you, baby. Come on, give it to me. Give it to daddy. Where are we at? It's a great, potentially great leading signal. Where are we at? Come on, I know it's here somewhere. April 12th, where are we at? That's 6 days back. Let's see. I know it's right here. Stay with me, baby. Stay with me. I post way too much, man. I post so much content. Let's see. Now I'm dug in, guys. We got to find this. I know we gonna find it here soon. Here we go. The VIX. This is volatility index. Look at where these have peaked in the past. Look at how high this got. Now, this is only this last cycle. There's been other times that this has gotten up into that 60 zone. But look at this. This was a kind of a forecasting. This was the low. And also, we still had some chop, but then we worked our way up. Look at this. Peaked right as we had that pop. Peaked right here as we got the pop. Peaked right here where could have been the bottom, but then we had that FTX collapse. It finally had the final washout here in the market before it moved up. But look at how high this is. If my opinion, unless something more scary happens in the markets, I kind of think that we bottomed. Even if we come down here again, I think this region will be the bottom either already or maybe one more test. But I'm leaning towards not the one more test. I think if we do get a pullback, we'll get somewhere in here, higher low, holding on to this obscure random yellow line. What is it? What's this obscure random yellow line? Well, it's this trend line that comes back here to October 2023. Bounce, bounce, bounce. But then we got that deviation below. So holding here would show great start to that trend. In fact, even if we lost a little bit, notice what would happen. What would happen if this trend line was lost? That would be a shoulder, head, shoulder. That we just effectively form a giant reversal pattern on the chart. But what else we got looking at in here? Okay, we're seeing some fleeing. Okay, we might start seeing this also translate to Bitcoin being that store of value, the flight to safety. And then what else we got? We got the VIX. We talked about that. Okay, what else we got? Breaking. Panama City just became the first government institution to go full crypto. You can now pay taxes, fees, tickets, and permits in Bitcoin, ETH, USDC, and USDT. The adoption floodgates are opening, and you guys are worried here. What else we got? Stablecoin transactions surpassed Visa payments for the first time in history, aka money being transacted in stablecoin via being processed in Visa, MasterCard, blah, blah, in this case, Visa. Look, stablecoin transactions are more than Visa. God, the adoption wave has started for those that are not paying attention. And this is with an infinitesimally small amount of people that are crypto users across the globe. We are already at that threshold of the event horizon. What does this mean when we actually see that wave from 6%, 4 or 5%, somewhere in that of the global population currently in crypto? When we get to 25%, when we get to 40%, when we get to 80%, these numbers we're seeing, whether it be in price action or the utility and gas fees and transactions and if it's actually utility being applied, when we, 30x the amount of users we have, guys, we are not bullish enough. And then we look at Bitcoin. What do we see? Our boy Kevin's fencing here. We have the RSI, Relative Strength Index, been in a downtrend, been in a downtrend, been in a downtrend. Similarly, all these periods of this cycle. But then also the MACD, Moving Average Convergence Divergence, right here, where this crosses back bullish, where this crosses back bullish, where this is about to cross back bullish. These two charts, as well as a chart formation pattern, all are indicating the strength is already broken out, and we have not yet gotten that move on the price action. But what happened here? Boom, that was that next leg. What happened here? Incredible next leg. And similarly, the real start of this move. Guys, we are in for some absolute bullishness. Shout out to DeFi Crypto Airdrops. That's our boy, veteran crypto. Make sure you go over there and follow. Make sure you go and follow their account. They're going to be doing a lot of DeFi stuff, crypto airdrops, strategy, a bunch of stuff there. We're kind of adopting them into our hit network, Discover Crypto, BitLab Academy community. Make sure you're giving them a follow. His name is right there in the chat. You can click on it and go to the channel. But this is showing that next leg is set up. Altcoins have been hungry for liquidity and bullishness. Hungry. So is this also going to indicate that we're going to see some move in altcoins? Well, let's first look at the last signal here on Bitcoin, then we can dive into some altcoin data. Looking at this, what do we see? Fibonacci Bollinger Bands. You know, when we do the Fibonacci retracements on the chart, what do we see here? We see this breaking point, the breaking point back here. And then, of course, what we've seen right here, we tend to have some sort of break and retest of this, but then the peaks have always been outside the top line, We've only just rejected at it, AKA, one could argue that there is so much higher to go. The question is, can you be patient enough to be stacking here and riding the drag into the upside when it happens? There's no telling when it's going to happen. We had 7 to 8 months sideways right here last year. We may get that again right here. In fact, we may be getting this on rinse and repeat for the foreseeable future, where we don't have this massive drawdown into 2026 like the 4-year cycle maximalists would argue. We may just see large moves up, good periods of consolidation, aka long period of ability to stack. Good move up, long period of consolidation. Good move up. We might just be doing this for the next couple years if we start getting that massive wave of nation states adopting Bitcoin treasury standards, sovereign wealth funds. We're seeing a massive uptick in institutional adoption towards Bitcoin strategies. Guys, it's so bullish for what we see coming in this market. And then I think, no, it's something else. There's something else I wanted to show you, but let's get into looking at some coins here. I'm so bummed this didn't live stream. I don't know why. I did all the things I was supposed to do, but it got no freaking signal. Nothing. Okay. Damn it. That bums me out. I was so excited about that. Also didn't stream here. I don't know why. I put in the RTMPs and all that kind of bullshit, but never realized when you became actively involved with crypto and then also doing media stuff that you'd have to become an audio-visual specialist for online broadcasting. But every one of these streaming services is slightly different, but we'll get it figured out. We will be live on both of those on a Monday for sure. But I want to get in some charts. You guys want to see some charts? Let's look at some charts. I had a bunch of charts. Here we go. Let's look at it. We got a little over 600 people tuned in right now. Shout out to everybody that's watching. Fridays, for whatever reason, we get the lowest numbers. I guess everybody's out doing stuff. But this is what we're looking at. Bitcoin dominance. Now, what is Bitcoin dominance? Well, when you look at the total market cap, which is right here, $2.67 trillion. $2.67 trillion in the total crypto market cap, aka how much money value is in the entire crypto ecosystem. And then when you look at the dominance, which right here is 63%, that means 63% of all value in all of crypto. Every one of these coins going on and on and on into the thousands and thousands, 13.75 million coins make up $2.67 trillion. 63% of that value, the dominance, 63% of this value is in Bitcoin. That's what the dominance, that's what we're looking at right now. When we look at dominance, the reason why this is important is because there's an inverse correlation to when you see the dominance falling, boom, like this, that's when you're seeing altcoins absolutely moon. In fact, I bet we can go like this. I've never looked at it. If we look at others chart, let's see. There we go. Come on. So you see when the dominance, these bars are going down, this is the others chart, altcoins just mooning. That's essentially what we're seeing with this. And so you want to pay attention to this and understand that we are kind of at a level. Let me actually come down here. I have another chart, USDC. Is this it? Yeah. It says Bitcoin dominance minus USDT.D. And I could subtract USDC as well, but this is minus Tether stablecoin. If we delete this line, let's go like this, option T, let's draw a line kind of through here. We have a bit of a resistance trend line here, which we're basically at. If this does start to roll over, which right now there's not clear indication that's going to happen, but we do have this large move up. This large move up, subtract the wick with the candle bodies, it's basically a weaker move. And then here you have a weaker move yet. This just looks like it's starting to round out, but we don't know. In the event that this does start to break down, AKA we start seeing some move like this, this will be absolute moonshot for those altcoins that you're holding. Now, when's that going to happen? I don't know. All we can do is stack into the things that we feel comfortable with. In fact, I did a poll in the live chat here. Let's actually pull this up on my screen here. Where's it at? There's a poll here. Are you buying, if you're stacking right now, are you buying microcaps, buying lottery ticks basically? Are you buying top alts? I've been buying some top alts lately. Are you only buying Bitcoin here, or are you stacked just sitting on your hands? I'm going to hit top alts for me. So look at that. 43%. That's the highest one so far on top alts. Bitcoin only. 21% of you are super smart conservative traders. Stacked and waiting. You've already been buying. I'm curious. Everybody get in there, add your votes there. Make sure you show some love. Hit that like button right there. Make sure you are subscribed right here. When we say ding the bell, ding this motherfucking bell right here. Hit the bell, baby. And once you're subscribed, you'll see a join there too. You can join and become a BitLab member here. It's about $1.25 a week. And then you get these little badges next to your name, and your name turns green. And the longer you remember, the more these fill up. As you can see right here, these are different colors. Blue, these guys have been around for a while. Yellow, and it's fairly full. When you become a brand new member, it's basically an empty beaker, so it fills up over time. Just wanted to shout that out. But we want to look at some altcoins here. Let's look at some altcoins, because I just stacked into Tau yesterday, and let's look at this. I told you guys about that. We bought, remember I was talking about this over the last few days, this sort of descending, broadening wedge. As this rejected, we were talking about this coming down to the 382. This is the 382, 225. I did not buy here because this is not where you buy. That's not the signal. You want to see the start of a reversal. And if you're confident, and for me, I'm pretty confident, and I know I'm going to hold. I'm not actively trading this. I bought this to hold it into that huge wave I do think is coming. I bought right here at about 232. I think it was 232.35, which was right about right here. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. Right about right here. Option J. There we go. Yeah, it's right about, let's see, right in this zone here. We had this big wick to the downside. We bounced on the Fibonacci 382, and on this, almost within 3 or 4 hours later, this started, boom, popping to the upside. Now, currently, if this was a short-term trade I was taking, that's a pretty great move on spot. If you're on leverage, that would have been fantastic, like a 3, 5, 10x leverage. Look at that, 14% times whatever X factor, right? That would have been a great trade. This is where we got in. I told you guys about it as well. This is looking like it's having a little bit of trouble here, which is okay. It's testing previous range high while it's also testing right into the resistance level right here. Now, does this mean I'm going to get out? No. If this comes back down into the zone, I might add some more to it. On the 4 hours, yeah, see the stochastics rolling over, RSI is rolling over. The VWAP's angled down. If this is going to be kind of a little bit of a leading signal, if this bounces here, starts coming up, then that would be great that maybe we form a little bit of a bull flag here and then break out above that. But we're also seeing some other signs. Solana has broken out. We got a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders. It's ugly as it can be, but it's looking a little weak here. We got a little bit slightly higher highs here on the 4 hour, slightly higher highs. And then at the same time, we have lower highs on the stochastics, lower highs on this RSI, lower highs on the momentum. So there's a little bit of bearish divergence here on the data. So we're looking at price, but what is the price doing into the underlying data? If price is pushing up and you're seeing the weakness coming in as it's pushing up, it's giving you a good indication you may have a there or a bit of a washout back to the downside higher. But this is starting to look good, despite even if we get a bit of a pullback. I mean, look at this formation. This looks like the bearish momentum to drive down is weakening and it's starting to roll back over. Avalanche. Man, I'm so goddamn bummed that this is not streaming on. It really does bum me out that this, and it's more frustrating that you can't add can I add a destination while I am live? Destination. It says destination in use. Yeah, right. It won't freaking let me send it. Whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together, guys. Avalanche. Super bullish on Avalanche. We had this very ugly. Let's delete some of these lines because some of this is just old news at this point. Let's clean up the chart. So let's go to the daily, double click. Okay, we had these. Look at this. So we had this. This is almost irrelevant at this point. We're looking right here. Okay, boom, option T. Draw a trend line, and look at that. Falling wedge breaks out, but it's not yet. I mean, this bottoming structure is nice, but it's not yet there for the breakout. It's not yet there. We do have higher lows here on the momentum waves, meaning that bearish momentum push to the downside is weakened. The VWAP, when I tell you about a potential leading signal, look at the VWAP coming down and rounding. We got the stochastics angle down, mostly bearish signals here on the BitLab trading stack, but let's get down to the 4 hour, see what's going on. Let's say, okay, on the 4 hour, that was the daily before. On the 4 hour, the VWAP is angled to the downside. This looks like it may want to be come down to test back into this trend line here. If we lose this, I'd be looking for a bounce opportunity right here about $17. If this does, if the market does have, for instance, a bit of a washout over the weekend. And that, you know why a washout over the weekend's good? Because typically big money players and smart money pushes the price in the direction for a setup for better pricing to move the opposite direction. Once you realize that, you don't get so mad at the moves. So if we are setting up for a more macro bullish reversal, and in the near term over the weekend, we get a little bit of a setup, which is still be a higher low, that would be a great opportunity before it comes up and makes that move. Understanding the psychology of different types of market participants will absolutely help you skyrocket what you're doing in this market. Aerodrome also, this looks just like AVAX. Pushed up, we got a bit of a shelf right here. If this drops back down, I'd be looking for maybe an opportunity down at 33 cents, maybe a little bit lower, 31 cents. But I'd be really wanting to see a higher low from this zone right in here. I'm going to actually option T. I'm going to leave that there just so. There we go. Render's been making some moves. Got the breakout, retest, W formation here. But boom, now we got a bit of a trend line, this area that this cannot break through. Now, given if this were to have a little bit like this and curve back up, then we got a beautiful inverted head and shoulders, which would signal a move up into this zone here. What move would that be? Draw a line, your target from the neckline to the deepest part of the head. Drag this out. That target would show it would be up here at about 459. But we do have this. What is this trend line? Let's see. So we got bounces, kind of chop. It's kind of I wouldn't even use that line. I would go like this. I would draw a bit of a bar like that. That's what I would do. Because we have different bounce. It's a region, right? Bounce here, bounce at the top. Bounce here at the top, rejection, bounce at the bottom, rejection at the top, bounce at the bottom. So I'd be looking for a target on the smaller term time frame. If this does have a bit of a resurgence back to the upside, I'd be looking for a target here in the 435 to 440 level. If this does reject here and break down, because this also looks like a broadening wedge, I'd be looking for an opportunity back down here at about 356. The markets are choppy right now. You cannot be mad at not knowing the exact direction in every move. You got to plan out in both directions what the opportunity is going to be. Risk on ain't coming back until Trump ends the trade war with Fed starts cutting every meeting. Well, that's a good possibility. I think there's a strong possibility we do get a bit more frustrating moves over the next, if we don't get this quick reversal on the tariffs, especially with China. I don't want to call it a reversal, a settling of whatever negotiation they have. Then I think we could have a pretty choppy season all the way through the summer, which we're getting into April. And a lot of times it's sell in May and walk away. And the big part of that is because a lot of big money players and a lot of liquidity drivers in the market tend to go on vacation. And I mean, there's still obviously people at work, but there tends to be a bit of quietness in markets, or can be, over the summer. So if this doesn't get resolved soon, then I think we're going to have a pretty choppy summer, which means there's more time for you to stack and find opportunities. You might have to be patient on your midterm to long-term holds. But I think there's still going to be a lot of opportunity. And if this does get choppy through summer, I think that we're going to have a major 2026 bull market extending that sort of 4-year cycle narrative. But I'm bullish on things in this market right now. Our beloved dog, coming out here, dog coin. Looking at dog. Here we go. I don't know what happened to these. My lines all got moved somehow. Let's go to the 12-hour. There we go. So we had the downtrend on dog. Boom. It's kind of broken out. I feel like, I don't know. It's kind of look rounding bottom here. I'm still looking for these targets on the way up, but this is a risk off sort of moment. So for me, all I'm doing is I'm kind of holding dog. I'm looking at probably stacking in a little bit more because I have such serious blue chip top, meaningful deep end infrastructure, AI, Chainlink, Ondo, AERO, Bitcoin, Avalanche. I've got those stacked, but I also want to participate in some fun things in the market too. So I have dog because it's on that dog. It's on the Bitcoin motivation, the Bitcoin free and fair, no paid KOLs, no paid marketing. No, it's just every coin when it's launched, it was airdropped to Runes holders. So there's over 100,000 holders. In fact, if we go and look at Leonidas's, if we come over here and look at Leonidas's page, Leonidas, let's go to Leonidas. Dog is one of the most active communities out there. I don't know why, as I'm trying to do something, the fucking internet doesn't work. There we go. Where are we at? Right here. Oops. Right here. Look at this. I just used X's new radar tool to analyze how many posts in the past 30 days mention the ticker of a top 25 meme coin, and the results are shocking. Dog under Doge, which makes sense. Doge is such a legacy coin at this point, but it eclipses Pepe, Farcoin, SHIB, SPX, Trump, Bonk, WIF. Everything that you can imagine here. 400,000 posts in the last 30 days. So when I'm looking, but if I'm going to participate in something, I want it to be attached to a blue chip, which is Bitcoin. And then we look at dog on the charts and you see this rounding nature here with holders that are much more diamond handed than the Solana ecosystem where it's just trading in and out. So this is, I just been stacking. I've been holding, I got a couple million dog and I'm, small percentage of my portfolio, very small. But I'm looking forward to this having such a big run that I would love at one point to show my portfolio and dog is the top coin of value in there. Yeah, but guys, I'm so excited about this. ETH to Bitcoin coming down potentially in that bottoming zone. ETH to USD still just stair-stepping to the downside. I think we really want to see some moves on Ethereum to really get more confidence in the alt market also. But JASMY had that big move up, came down into the 382. Cardano kind of rounding out. We're just waiting right now, everybody. I'm bullish on where we're going. I'm patient on what's happening. But I hope you all have a wonderful day. I love you. I appreciate you. Did we get any super chats or anything today? Man, I got to change what I'm doing here. I go to other people's streams. They get 77 super chats a stream. And I don't know why people don't participate in the memberships, or I guess I just give too much value away for free, but might have to change that. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful, 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 wonderful weekend. And I will see you in the next one. I'm going to send you over to Blockchain Basement now. That's all I got. Adios, muchachos. Over and out.